Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I'm your host today, Mateo Lopez, here with my compatriot, my brother-in-arms, John Edward Franklin. And today we have a very special guest with us today, Cassie Day. Cassie is here to talk about social media and making money for your gym through social media. And I can't wait to get into it with everyone here today. So, first of all, John, how's it going?
It's good. I'm also excited. So, the reason you got the invite so quickly, Cassie, is Teo doesn't like fitness business conferences,
No.
and he doesn't like the presentations. And he came back from the fitness business conference that you both were at, our dear friend Mark Fisher's, and he said, "Yo, Cassie's presentation was actually good." And so, from Mateo, that is the highest
Okay, so
endorsement.
Also, everyone's that I saw was also good. Ben, if you're listening, Pete, if you're listening, it was also good. Mark, if you're listening, I also enjoyed yours. Michael Keeler, I also enjoyed yours. I don't know who else was there, but yes, I did also say that about Cassie.
So for Teo to say, I enjoyed a presentation. It's just a very, very ringing endorsement. And so I'm excited to hear the contents of this presentation.
I feel honored.
So, Cassie, why don't we start? Who are you? Also, are you famous? Are you on TV?
My cheeks already hurt. We're just starting. My name's Cassie Day. I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
So Toronto specifically is where I'm
Toronto.
at now.
She's from Toronto, not Toronto. She's from Toronto.
Toronto.
There's
If you
a
pronounce
silent
it
CH.
Toronto,
Yeah.
it's very clear you have never been here.
Mm-hmm.
I own a company called All Day Fit. So my gym is downtown Toronto. I've been open and operating for the last 7 years. And I was on this past season of the Amazing Race Canada. I didn't win. I actually got my ass handed to me, but I had a ton of fun while doing it.
What was it like on reality TV? I'm dying to know.
Honestly, I would do it all over 100 times. You have a camera crew and audio follow you around everywhere. Specifically Amazing Race, nothing is pre-planned or curated. So you're just truly in this world within the world where you can't talk to anyone and you're playing a huge, massive game. So it was like the best time of my life.
Do the producers make you cry? Like, do they put you in situations and then ask you sad questions and make you cry?
Oh yeah, cried many times.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but they were like real tears based
Yeah.
off experience of what was happening.
So while Teo doesn't like fitness business conferences, Teo really likes reality TV. So,
Yes, we're hitting all the Venn diagram right now.
you
for our
could turn
guest
this into
is-
a 5 hour a 5 hour podcast just talking about reality TV. That was the podcast Teo wanted to make.
Yes, we have to pivot though. So your gym, All Day Fit, you said it's been open for 7 years. How would you describe your gym? How big is it? What are the clients you serve? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so All Day Fit actually operates out of a shared space. So it is like a WeWork space for gym owners downtown Toronto. There's myself and a couple other entrepreneurs who run our business out of the same space. This gym is 4,200 square feet. We service Gen Pop. Our focus is on strength training specifically. And we take the model of basically saying strength training's for everyone. And we're going to focus on the foundations and the basics and get you really freaking strong within those.
So you're leasing the space, and is it mostly personal training or is it small group?
We run two. So our bread and butter is called Strong Academy. So it's a 6-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
So we say personal training meets group energy in that small setting. It's quite unique to Toronto because I know in the States it's really common to run small group personal training, but we're actually one of the very few people doing it in Toronto. So it makes us stand out. You basically have the one-on-one or a group class from 30 to 60 people downtown Toronto. So our 6-to-1 has done wonders for us over the last 5 years. I say
Really?
five. small
I
group
thought that
size.
would be like all the major markets. Small group would be the kind of like bread and butter. We had the Fort guys on there. They run a similar style gym in New York, and they crush it using that model because you can just charge such a premium price for that small group versus just doing like a 30-person boutique class. So you have so there's basically like 4 gyms operating in your gym.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, that's crazy. So what do you pay for rent?
Ooh, so rent goes by based off what we service. So we're sitting roughly around 16,000 a month right now.
So there's like a landlord. You have like there's like someone who owns the space, and then they rent it to all you guys.
Yes. So actually the whole story of her vision of this space, it's called Training Lane, and Sophie Mattis is the owner. She was an All Day Fit client of 5 years at our last location, which was underground in this dark space with no windows, with sadly very poor customer service. And her vision was like, All Day Fit doesn't match this energy. What would you think if I was to open a gym where it was like bright and beautiful with great customer service and where you never have to share equipment? Her gym set up its lane-based model, and you pay to rent each lane. So within each lane is everything you would need for one session. And the idea is that you never need to share equipment. So it's perfect for us coming in here for personal training. You rent a lane, and then our small group model, we rent a lane and put 3 people in it.
That's crazy. I don't think where'd she get this idea? I've never heard of anybody doing this before.
She said it was inspired just based off her experience at All Day Fit.
Just hanging out
Wow.
with you.
Just hanging out with us.
She was
And then
like,
So
she was
this
so
is-
frustrated with her experience with you that she,
She was like-
opened this to make it better.
I would rather spend $1 million building a gym in Toronto than work out here another day.
But Cassie, you can come too.
Yeah. All right. So the one with this isn't it. Where's the one with the hardwood floor one?
it's not a hardwood floor. It is if you go up at the very top, that's it.
This one. This is it.
This is the one. This is where we operate at.
That's not a wood floor. Oh, that's vinyl
No.
plank.
Yeah. Okay,
Vinyl
you know
plank.
your flooring.
Of course, I know my flooring.
I don't know my flooring.
And is this the same? And this is the same thing in here.
No, so that's a gym we would previously rent before moving into the new space
Okay.
for photo shoots specifically. So we have been operating out of prior to the current location we're in a dark underground gym. So we would go and rent other gyms in Toronto for photo shoots and would pay upwards of $500 an hour for nice content.
That's so big brain. So we do like about 1,000 gym websites, and one of the big issues, and one of the things we tell everybody to do, is like do professional photos, because this is like GMB is basically the front page of your website. It's not your actual website, because people see this before they ever go to your website. Mm-hmm. And some of the gyms we work with, like they're just in like ugly spaces. You know, it's like half finished. It's dark. They didn't paint the walls. It looks barren. So I'd never actually heard of like the arb play of renting a fancy looking gym and taking the photos. So
Of
you
your
like
coaches and
people,
your athletes.
yeah, people call the bait and switch like a free 6-week challenge. Your bait and switch is like, you know, they show up expecting fitting room. This is like this dark floorless. I guess it's not
Expect
like that
Equinox,
anymore,
and then
but-
they go to the basement.
Oh, that's
That is what was
amazing.
happening for the first 5 years, 100%.
That's
Oh, I
10
love
out
it.
of 10 good.
I love it.
So this lift, this isn't your gym. They would just show.
They're actually now our neighboring gym, which is hilarious.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Okay, I see these lanes. And so what does this lady charge you? Like, what does it cost to rent a lane?
So one lane for 2 people is $29.
One lane
the
for
hour.
2 people is $29. Okay,
Yeah.
so your session rate, you have to have a session rate of, you know, 30, 45 bucks basically to make money there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then she covers your customer support and the phone and does all that for you, or would it? You know, you said customer support a few times. What does that? What does that mean?
No, so basically they just have someone who greets you when you walk in the gym. Her business model is very smart. She needs one person to welcome everyone in and get them set up in the lane. So more so just in the previous space we were in, it was poor customer service, I guess. And then her idea was just we would have better customer service.
So you just mean there was no one at the front desk because there wasn't a front desk. Okay, so she pays for the one front desk person.
Yeah.
But you still have to call your leads and DM them. And
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a biz team. We have someone who does client experience. She also takes care of sales. I have a marketing specialist, and then I have a head of operations.
So to confirm, is this the current gym? Is this just a Mexican restaurant? What?
This is the current gym.
Okay, so that
It
is
looks
where
quite different. This picture's old. I guess I need to get a new picture out here.
you got to get that 360 tour too. We'll talk. We're releasing that in our service pretty soon. But yeah, get the 360 tour.
Honestly, I took so many notes away from Mateo's presentation at Vegas. I just have to put them into works now.
Yeah. Done for you service launching this quarter. All right, Teo. Sorry. What was your question?
Well, so I was going to say, so you're paying, you said $16,000 a month roughly in rent.
Yeah.
So, let's talk some numbers here. So how much money does your gym bring in and how many clients do you have?
Yeah, so what month is it right now? April. I just finished March books. We did 85 in rev for the month of March. We have 140 clients. 110 of those are in our small group training program, and 30 of those are in one-on-one.
Oh, wow. So the one-on-one's already it's got to be pretty high ticket then, right?
You got to be a high ticket to pay $17,000 a month in rent.
Wow. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
The reason I brought up the rent question initially is because when I met you, I remember talking with you and I knew your situation was strange with your gym. But for whatever reason, I thought it was like super cheap. I thought you were paying, was your old gym really cheap? Is that why?
No.
The basement? Okay, cool. So I'm glad I asked, but it was the opposite of what I told you, Mateo. It's really expensive.
Yeah, we've been, even to look at our own space downtown Toronto, I haven't found a space that's been under $20K a month in just rent alone.
Yeah, the Toronto real estate market's insane.
Yeah.
I guess, how are you making all these high ticket sales? That's the real question. That's why that's why we got you here today. What's the main, how do you guys make money? How do you make sales? How do you get clients?
So we retain clients because our amazing customer service.
Yes, of course.
Because that front desk lady, desk lady
that one front
kills
desk
it.
person.
I have an exceptional team. We get clients through social media. So our number one tactic for the last 7 years has been organic social media.
Mm-hmm. I met you at a different fitness business conference than the one we referenced in the beginning that I begrudgingly brought Mateo to. I spoke at that one, and I remember the crux of my talk was don't do social media. It's hard. Just do ads. It's way easier. It worked for me. And then we talked after, and you were like, oh, that's funny. I do the exact opposite. I don't do any ads. I do only social media, and that works for me. And I remember talking with you, and I was like, okay, this is cool. It's a good argument. I don't do any social media, so that sounds hard. Since then, I did start posting on social media. So I got 18,000 followers on Twitter. Because that was just that's where I like hanging out. And I can confirm I was right. It's so hard and requires so much work. And ads are way easier for 99% of people. But you got the sauce. Your stuff looks like it works. You're in that 1% where this is you make it look easy. So tell us your secrets.
You know what's interesting? I think this is why Mateo liked my presentation, because I had the exact same. Basically, he's like, ads is the way to go. And then I was like, I actually don't think you should do ads. So I guess my thought process is the way that I, as a consumer of ads, if I see an ad, I'm going to go to that profile before I go anywhere near a purchase. So if I'm going to spend the money on ads and have all the people who receive the ads go to my social and it's not actually up to standards to what my ad looks like, I feel like that you're not actually closing the sale to the level that you could be. So organic social media, when I started at BFU with Mark, he was like, ads, ads, ads. And I was like, if I came to my page right now, I would never even buy from me. So I need to make sure we get our social strategy up to a point before I start driving thousands of people to our page. So we've worked for the last 2 years, I would say, on heavily putting in a strategy for organic social content. And I would say this, as of this year, 2023, it's grooving and it's going and it's flowing on its own. But it definitely took some time to get the structure in place that we then became a process that we could repeat over and over again.
So then what is the structure, right? So how do you figure out what to post? How do you then create the collateral? And then once you do post, how do you turn that into prospects?
Yeah, so great question. We run what's called, actually two things first. Big part of it is backing it out and building out your social. Big part of it is backing out and planning out your overall marketing content calendar for the full year. And then we break the year into a quarter based off our quarterly goals. And then we break that into 4-week content calendars. And I think that the biggest reason so many people struggle with social media content specifically is they're relying on motivation the day of to post. Mm-hmm. They're thinking, I know I need to post on this day, but then they get there the day of. And as entrepreneurs, we know we have a million things to do. And when you have a million things to do, your stress goes up. When your stress goes up, your ability to be creative goes down. So then you're relying on motivation to come up with what to post, what your caption should be when you're in this state of little to no creativity available.
And it's also a lot of decision fatigue too. You're making decisions all day, and now you have to make like creative decisions, which is kind of even in some ways harder thing to do when you're in that state. So yeah, totally. I totally 100%. See what you're saying.
So
go for it.
A year in advance, right?
Yeah.
Like what level of detail when you say you plan out a year of content, like how granular is that plan?
Okay, so in our 12-week year, we have 4 launches. And then within our 4 launches for our small group training program, each of those launches has a 5-week set calendar that flows with it. So it's more so the structure of the way that the 4 launches and the 4 launches happen in that year. And then within those launches, there is a campaign that happens following them. And then the other content that's plugged in is evergreen.
So you can't just like sign up for your thing at any time. It's just 4 times a year you can buy from you.
4 times a year you can buy into our service. Yeah.
Okay. So each quarter there's a launch, and then there's stuff that happens leading up and post the launch that is like basically sales content. And then you backfill all the holes with, I don't know, other stuff that is
evergreen content.
Evergreen. So that's like, give me an example of one of the evergreen ones here.
So click from my profile to All Day Fit.
Okay. So we're talking, this plan is for you or All Day Fit or both?
This plan is mostly for All Day Fit.
Well, don't all the money come from your personal profile?
No.
Oh, really?
I actually built the business over the last 2 years to come solely from All Day Fits.
So you're getting more inbound from this than from your situation?
Not even comparable.
Wow.
So that is like proof there that the number of followers actually doesn't matter. It's the content that's bringing in the leads and then your conversion process following.
I did notice that, where it's like the stuff that is most viral and performs really well is often not the stuff that like sells. Yeah, it's not the stuff that makes $1. So
100%, which is why we go 3 to 1. So we don't only put something that sells every 4 posts at the maximum, so that everything in between is that relatable, that viral, that savable content.
So give me an example of like a sale post and an evergreen here.
The 3 important nutrients and why. So that looks like value up there. Scroll up, you can see a graphic right in the middle.
So this is like a carousel here. Yeah.
that is like a carousel. I shared that in my Vegas presentation. I think it has like close to 100 saves. So it has little to no likes, 30 likes maybe, but 100 saves. I actually could tell you the exact, because our goal, let me tell you, our goal is to create content that provides a lot of value to our people on the other side. So that post there has 109 shares, sorry, but only 25 likes. So 109 people found it valuable enough to either share it to their own story, so we're tapping into their reach,
Right.
or to pass it on to a friend. That's huge.
It's arguably better, more important than the likes, because
Way more important.
it's reaching other people, right? It's they're doing the marketing for you by just spreading it around for you.
So for me, like there's so many things that I went opposite of what people tell you should do. Everyone says like I should be the personal brand. My Cassie Day is going to be what sells All Day Fit. But I actually went completely opposite of what I was told I should be doing. And instead, I stepped myself back for the last 2 years, hired people on my marketing side before I was financially in a position to do so. And I pushed forward All Day Fit being what people are coming to purchase from. So I didn't, in the beginning, it was everyone coming to All Day Fit to train with Cassie Day. But there's only
Right.
so many of me. So
Right.
instead, I used my team and put them the face of the company. And now when people come to All Day Fit in the last year, I introduce myself and they're like, "Who are
Who are
you?"
you?
And they actually have no idea.
Yeah.
And to me, that's how I'm going to be able to grow my gym, because I can't have everyone come in and train with me, especially over the next couple of years when I foresee children coming along. So I really need to make sure that All Day Fit is what is known across the city and the country as the place to train, and not my personal name.
Interesting. Cool. And so these are, yeah, like these are, this looks like you're just like handling objections, or sorry, this one I was scrolling through before, like this is literally just like an objection handling post, and it's just like a cool way to do it. And so is it the same stuff every launch? Like, we know this is going to be an FAQ carousel. This is going to be a like avatar, like this is an avatar thing. This is a whatever. And you just like change up the pictures, or is it like identical, like just reusing the same post over and over and over? How do you handle the actual like launch portion?
So the structure of the 4 weeks is identical when it comes to what blog post, what emails, what text, what stories, and what actual static posts are going out, but the content itself changes. So every launch has a new theme to the launch. This theme, which is currently our spring season, the theme was consistently training. A lot of people struggle with consistency. It was the number one pain point we heard all winter. So we turned it into our launch theme. And we're going into Q2, finishing off Q2 planning, which includes our summer launch this afternoon with our team. And we're going to brainstorm what the summer theme's going to be. Right now, the leading winner right now is basically fuck diet culture, fuck summer bodies, train for life. So we'll finalize what that theme of summer launch, which will happen in June, is going to be this afternoon. And then we'll start working on our June launch. So basically, it's a forever going 12-week calendar that goes from the brainstorm period to the creation period to when it goes live.
Summer's coming up. Forget about it. Stay fit for every season. I love it.
Well, basically, while every other gym is pushing look good in summer, we're going to push the opposite, which is what All Day Fit's all about.
Look good forever.
Fitness is not about what you look like. Fitness is a feeling.
Yeah.
And that will make our messaging stand out to every other gym who's trying to convince you into changing your body.
So all this content, I mean, it looks amazing, right? How do you actually create this high quality content? Like, what's the process for creating it so that you aren't, like you said before, cramming like day of to try and like sort through your iPhone to find something that looks okay and decent enough to post?
So we have what's called our 4-week cycle. So actually, two things I would say are really important here. So our 4-week cycle, and then our quarterly photo shoots. So our 4-week cycle, how it works is, so week one, basically, if we're prepping content for June, May 1st, the first week, we're in what's called a brainstorming phase. And we have the whole team come together. They put our heads together of content that we collectively want to put out. This is outside of a launch. This is what we call our evergreen content. Often we have a theme. It's tied into what's going on around the gym, what's going on in the world. And we built out a 4-week content calendar. Our goal is to do anywhere from 3 to 4 posts a day. Sorry, not 3 to 4 posts a day.
I was like, holy shit.
A week.
3 to 4 a week. And we try to get stories up 3 to 4 times a week that are pre-planned on top of also doing organic stories.
So like, how granular does this get? Like, do you have it? Can you share it? Can you give us an old one we can look at?
Yeah. This is our weekly. So basically, you can see far left, we map out all of the weeks of what's going on. And you can see marketing campaigns specifically. That tells us if we're in a launch period. There's 3 options: launch period, a specific campaign, or we're in just a phase of evergreen content. Then you can see following it, everything that seeds into what's going in marketing wise is filtered into what we call our team huddle. And that actually breaks into the way that we create that content, which is in these huddles. So then this month here, you can see April. And this is what I meant by that bird's eye view of taking a couple steps back, is basically everything internally and externally is speaking directly to our content as well. So if we're pushing our referral program online, we're also talking about it internally on sales calls, in the text marketing, in our email marketing, etc. So that message is just being continuously hit on our clients. Our goal is to be hitting them in 7 different ways, whatever is going on at the time. So if you look at this April 1, you can see green shows you our internal announcements. You can see our focus, internal and external, on sales. You can see our client retention program, which is called All-Star Club. And then if I scroll down, you can see everything from our email marketing, text marketing, in-feed, story, team socials, TikTok, and then our external social outreach that we do in our neighborhood. So everything's worked out in this 4-week cycle, 4 weeks in advance.
Who taught you this?
No one! I have been asking for continuous support from everyone in my 70-person mastermind. No one's done anything like this. And basically, we've just made it up. And if someone's already doing that out there and I could have just learned it from them, that would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of time in the last 2 years, because it's taken a lot of time and money to get here.
But you have a marketing background, right?
Yes. Pre-fitness, I did work for Red Bull Canada in digital marketing, but that was specifically that wasn't on strategy. It was actually just content creation side.
Well, so what
I used to work for Red
learn-
Bull too.
What'd you do?
I was a SBM back in the day.
Sick. I was a wings team also before I did digital marketing.
Ooh.
And now I'm like forever loyal to Red Bull if I was to ever purchase an energy drink.
It worked, man. I got so many of my friends hooked on it. So, sorry, Teo. I don't want to derail us.
No, I wanted to bring that up because what lessons from the, I guess, content creation side did you learn, if any, that carried over to the work you're doing now?
I think the biggest thing that I took away from Red Bull into my brand is 2 things, actually. Red Bull is very premium. And that was one of my favorite things with the brand specifically. And that was one thing I want to carry into my own personal brand, which is why a huge part of our content is every quarter we put together a large photo shoot where we hire a professional videographer and photographer. So our goal is to have 50% of our images done from a professional lens and 50% done from iPhone. So we're also checking that premium box, but also checking that human box, which I think is a very important part of our success.
Yeah, I wanted to dive into that a little bit more because I remember you talking about it at your talk. Tell us a little about the quarterly or photo shoot process. How do you get people involved? How do you schedule it? How do you come up with a shot list? Like, are you relying on them? Like, how does that all work?
So we run a quarterly photo shoot. This happened 2 years ago. They've been working very well for us. They're basically planned a quarter out. So right now we're preparing our May shoot, which will be for fall content. And that fall content will launch our fall season of our small group training program. So we have everything backed up quite well. And what we do here is we bring in anywhere from 3 to 10 community members. All Day Fit, our mission is to represent underrepresented bodies in fitness. So in order for us to do that, we need to bring in real humans who don't get represented in fitness. So that is a huge part of bringing our vision to life. And then Adidas backs All Day Fit, which is a huge win for us. So they swag everyone out in head to toe, new shirts, pants, socks, bras, sneakers, you name it. So everyone's dressed to the nines. And we hire a photographer who originally started as an exchange. So I know people often think that this seems like a lot of money, but hiring or using someone internally that you can do an energy exchange with is how we did it for the first 2 years. Now we're actually paying for the service, but a good way to get started is to use someone internal. And then down to the shot list. So for example, our next photo shoot is exactly 1 month from now. We have all of our models picked. We've got their sizes put in. Adidas has the stuff on the way. We're going to get everything branded. So everything isn't only All Day Adidas, it's also branded All Day Fit on it as well. And then we have the shot list planned out. And we have 4 people on deck. Person number 1 is shooting the image. Person number 2 is filming videos of the shots that we then can use for real clips. Mm-hmm. Person number 3 is myself. I'm then taking them from the set to a second set where they're doing video testimonials. And then person number 4 is just organizing the timetable behind the scenes and making sure our photographer is set up for success.
That's so super smart. Because you've got all the cameras and the people dressed up there. Might as well grab testimonials while you have them.
This is a machine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We just realized that the last 2 photo shoots that we were missing video testimonials. We have the people there, so now it's going to be set in stone.
And they're already really in a good mood because you just gave them new clothes and like you're making them look good. They feel like celebrities already because you're taking photos of them. So yeah, that's actually pretty ingenious.
So you got 3 shooters going at the average. Okay. And then, so all this stuff in your April, May calendar, like all the creatives already done for all of that?
Yeah, everything for April would have been completed before March 31st.
So you're like, how far ahead are you now? Like in terms of posts?
Posts
like
right now?
Loaded up, ready to go. Like if you got hit by a bus today, how long is your social going before you need to add something else in there?
So the ideas right now, so this is April, the ideas right now are done for the month of May, and in 2 weeks the content will be created. So the content's actually created 4 weeks out. So the 4-week cycle goes, week 1 we brainstorm as a team. Week 2 in our team huddle we film the content. This is the iPhone content. Week 3 we piece it all together in drafts, and then week 4 we write the captions for it and put them into the drafts. So then by the top of the week again, that will be the top of the month. It's all laid out for the 4 weeks.
So how big is the team that's working on this?
We have a lead of content, who's a new position we just put in place at All Day Fit, who's one of our coaches. And then under it is just everyone who's on the team who's a part of the content. So one person oversees it, and collectively as one unit, we make the content together.
So how many people is that?
That is 4, 5, 6, 7 people.
So you have a full-time content person now, or is the head of content part-time?
She's a part-time coach, part-time head of content.
Okay, so you have a part-time head of content, and she's managing 7 different people who are making content?
Yeah.
Wow. Sounds hard.
But I imagine if you had only 4 coaches, and she would only be managing the 4. Like they're all on a team because they're all coaching and interacting with clients. They all have phones. So I imagine the expectation is like you should document some of this stuff, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And now that we have this structure in place, it just goes through. Like it's the system's built out, and that was the biggest part. We were trying to do this without structure before, and it, like you just said, it was chaotic. But now it's just a cycle machine that goes and repeats itself.
So we have like resources that we could throw at content and media, and I see this and I'm like, this is way too hard. If you were coaching us or you're coaching an average gym owner and you're like, if you could only do like 2 things, right? Like say someone's got 5 hours to throw at this and they want to get the most bang for the buck. Is it just like, don't bother because you're not going to see any results? Or is there something they can, like, is there a pared down version of this that someone can do and it would be like an ROI positive thing?
Is it 5 hours a week or 5 hours a month?
Week.
Oh, it's so much time. My head of content only has 5 hours a week. She's doing this in 5 hours a week.
She should come work for us then. Give us
Not
5 more.
not name dropping her to get hours. So
She's about to get sniped by every other gym in Toronto right now.
we've laid up. So she is the system, and she has 5 hours a week that she brings us to life in.
Okay. But then you have all the other people who make the content.
Make the
what
content.
what's the stuff that moves the needle the most is kind of what I'm asking.
Honestly, if I was to give if there's one thing that people do, it's take 2 hours at the beginning of the month and map out your content calendar in advance. Because I think the number one thing holding people back is day of motivation. So if you plan out the ideas in advance, it takes that one decision out of it. And then even if you have to film a day of, at least you have the idea ready to go. That's what I would say.
You taking notes, Teo? We gotta have a.
It's recorded. I'm gonna watch this back like 10 times. So the other piece that I wanted to hit on before we wrap up here is you've created all this content. Now what? So people are engaging more. They're seeing your social. Maybe they're liking a post. Maybe they're, sharing a reel or reacted to something. Maybe they followed you. What happens? How do you actually turn those people into clients?
Into clients, yeah. Okay, so a couple different ways it happens, whether it's through stories or the link in our bio. 3 ways, actually. So one, if you follow us or engage with our content, our client specialist is going to slide in your DMs and she's going to start warming you up there. Number 2 is we do a lot of lead magnets on our stories. So similar how I think you run an ad, actually, I'm assuming this is how it happens. We put the lead catches on our stories with links to bring you to our landing pages, which then we capture you as a lead, and then you get filtered into our system. And then number 3 is with all of this continuous education and value, a lot of people go straight to our bio, and those are the warmest leads where they actually are inquiring about our services that way. So we bring on average 25 to 30 leads a week, and 2/3 of those tend to be from organic social, one of those 3 avenues.
Holy shit, I just clicked your link in bio. There's so many things. What am I supposed to do? It's too many.
Okay, good feedback. I actually haven't clicked that link in a long time.
Jesus, look at this shit.
There are a lot of things in this link tree. But so when the person's sliding into the DMs, what's that conversion script like?
Well, that's not me, so I actually don't know exactly what her script says, but basically she's going to say, hi, my name's Joelle, because she wants you to know she's a human, not a brand. Thanks so much for following us. Curious how you found us is one that I know she'll use. No one's scared to answer how they found us, and it's a very easy way to ease into that conversation. I would say that's probably her biggest go-to. I think in the past we've asked, what are you doing right now for fitness? I think that when she gets less of a response rate, it feels more salesy than just like, how did you find us?
And what's the offer? How do you get them to come in for a consult? Or you just ask them for a consult, or are you giving away like a free session, or is it some kind of like, what's the offer? What's the ask?
So typically what just will happen is it will just start as a conversation, and then we'll try to see if there's a problem that we can solve for a reason they're following us. And then that will either seed into them being simply an email captured or coming in for that consultation.
So is all your selling consultative based?
All of our selling consultation based. Yeah. No. Because we'll sell people straight from DMs directly into our small group personal training program.
What does this thing cost? I get to the application. When I see the application, I'm like, this is expensive.
So our small group personal training,
this is where it shoots you.
3 times per week is there works out to be $40 a session.
Okay. So no, I'm talking about the launch program.
Yeah, the launch program. So the launch program for the 12-week commitment is $1,440.
the Strong Academy. So
Strong
it's 3
Academy.
months for $14.40.
Yes.
It's too cheap. Look at that. $14.40 Canadian too.
40 Canadian.
Wow, it is a bargain. You should get rid of that application. That's cheap.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So that's it. I can see how that's a direct sell. What the Fort guys say they charged? They were like $800 a month, right?
It's double up.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
should go. You should go watch that. They have really good. They have a similar strategy. They crush Instagram as well, and they run like a very similar model. I think they just charge double what you charge. So
They
They're
don't
in New
do.
York City?
Yeah, they don't do
Yeah.
one-on-ones. They just do 4-person classes.
yep. So
Okay. Good to
there
know. I'll
there
be
you go.
going-
Good ROI.
Yeah.
You want to make twice as much money. I got you to $160 a month right there.
Perfect.
Now give us the contact info for your head of content. That's how this works. All right, cool. So this is sweet. So you said everything's based around these launches.
Yeah.
And so I go to your service page. You got some other services going on, personal training, all day athlete. I'm not really sure what that is, but if I want to, like, let's say it's not a launch, I want to sign up, I want to give you money. How does that work? Do I have to start in personal training, or do I have to wait for the next enrollment of Strong Academy? Like, how does that work if I kind of like arrive somewhere in the middle of the cycle?
So we will run 4-week trials into our small group personal training program if it's not fully sold out. And often we have time slots sitting in our noon, for example, which is a harder time slot to sell. So we'll bring people in on a trial into those outside of launches. Or we do a starter pack for personal training. So someone could do a 4 or an 8 pack while they're waiting for the next launch to happen. But the idea, and I've gone back and forth on this many times, of making our small group program an evergreen service we offer all the time, or keeping it a hot commodity that sells out only 4 times a year. And as of right now, I'm still leaning towards keeping it that exclusive launch that happens 4 times a year.
I mean, that's what Mark did it with his Snatch program. I mean, we talked about it last time he was here. Like, he did that for a long time. We kind of did it with our 6-week program. So I get it.
But we know another guy who we interviewed, Jack Wheeler, who he's been running a 6-week
Yes.
challenge evergreen for over 10 years now. There's like been 3 spots left for that 6-week challenge for literally a decade. He does the same thing as you. Like, he was seasonality, but he's more traditional. Like, his will definitely be like hot mom bod summer 6-week challenge or something like that. But like the fulfillment was actually the same every time. But he would just like rebrand the thing based off of the season. So it's like basically the same fulfillment and then adjusting the offer and the marketing like 6 times a year. So we've seen it work both ways.
Honestly, Michael Keeler yells at me all the time and says that I need to have an evergreen service, but it's worked for us. So, if it works, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So to say,
Fuck
it
Michael
works.
Keeler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael keeps yelling at me. He's like, Strong Academy doesn't make sense. I'm like, but it's working. I think it does. One of the biggest things I'll say, and I think, Mateo, you just touched on this quickly when we were talking about content, is I think a lot of companies have the opportunity to put their clients or community members in the spotlight more. And and I stole this from Mark, our clients are really our raving fans. So when we do these photo shoots or we create content that includes our clients, we'll send things like a co-collab. And our clients are always so excited that we're highlighting them, that they'll accept co-collabs or they'll reshare stories. And now we're at the point where just last week, for example, 3 clients are shouting us out on their own social media. So it's not only us now creating content, but our clients now creating content for us, and we're tapping into all of their audiences. And I think that's a really important part when creating content, and not it just being the owner, not just being the team, but involving as many people as you can to tap into each of those audiences and their reach.
And I mean, I imagine if you have some of these people in these fancy photo shoots, they're going to share their own experiences. If someone else is doing a story while the Reebok photo person's in the room or whatever, like, yeah.
Reebok.
Adidas, I think is what they say. Yeah, Adidas. Although, didn't they own Reebok for a long time? I think that's why I got it confused. Anyway,
Yeah, I saw it.
So I saw on your media calendar you had TikTok on there. I don't know if you have a Facebook presence or not. Like, what percentage of all your social leads or revenue generated from social comes from Instagram?
100%.
Okay, so don't even worry. Like, if you're a gym owner, just focus all your effort on Instagram would be your advice.
I mean, it works well for us. I think Facebook also works really well. We just don't use it. But I know a lot of other gym owners who have a lot of success with Facebook. And I know a lot of other entrepreneurs who have a lot of success with TikTok, but usually when it's a product. I have yet to see someone who's selling a service and see the return on TikTok. So we do it for fun, but it doesn't have a strategy behind it yet.
And so you have like a personal brand, and it sounds like your gym's got a brand now too. I'm assuming your personal brand, just based off of audience size, your personal brand was kind of big before the gym brand was. Is that true?
Yes.
So if you're a gym owner who has neither, would you say build a personal brand first and then leverage that brand to build your gym brand, or would you tell them to just focus on the gym?
Dan, that's a great question. I think my first question, I've been consulting for people lately about this. The first question I would ask is, do you actually want a personal brand? Because I think that it takes so much work to put yourself out there, and you have to actually want it for the right reasons. If not, you're going to create more work for yourself than needed. So if someone genuinely wants to have a personal brand, yes. But if you don't, I think that you can create a brand and create yourself within that brand and your team within that brand, your clients in that brand to be the faces of the company. And that would be more successful than making a personal brand that you actually don't want. Because I'm long-winded.
It does, but I've never seen a successful brand, especially like a small business, that has crushed it on organic using someone who was not like an owner founder as a face. Like, can you think of a lot of examples? Yeah.
I think a lot in Toronto. Like a gym, there's a gym called Fuel. Owner has no public, no profile. He has 3 locations. Another gym called Fit Squad. They have 3 owners. You have no idea who's behind the scenes. 2 very successful gyms in Toronto, and you don't. The founders don't have public brands.
Do you know any gym management software influencers?
No.
So your opinion, because that was my follow-up question, is like a lot of people I know who crush it with media, they, they're like special in some way, right? So they're like a naturally gifted writer, or they're really good looking, or they're super charismatic on camera, right? They have some type of it factor. Like, do you think this is something that every gym owner can do, or do you think you have to have a little bit of that sprinkle, that sauce?
I mean, the sauce helps. I wish I had that writing skill you're referencing. That's one thing I don't have. I think you have to have it for a personal brand. So I think if you don't have it, don't force it, and elevate your gym. Because I think a lot of times really good personal trainers or really good strength coaches open up gyms. And I think it's very different than being a personal brand. And I don't think they always are the same skill set. So I think elevate the gym if that's what you're good at, and don't worry about the personal brand, would be my opinion. And then when your gym has really good content on it, put ads behind that and pump out the gym.
But do you think every gym can make good content, I guess is my question.
I think every gym could definitely make good content. You need to have the system in place and hire the right people to do so.
What do you think, Teo?
Yeah, I mean, if you're scared of the camera, but you have a trainer who's not, then I think that's all you need. Kind of what it sounds like.
Okay.
People
I'll
often
buy
say
it.
make sure you're hiring coaches based off personalities, not just skill sets. So you can teach them the training side of things, but you can't teach personality. So you obviously want a great personal trainer one-on-one with your clients or in those group settings. You equally want those same skills on camera. I was just in Seattle actually at a business fitness business conference, and we practiced for a couple hours in the morning. Do you know the Daily Kelsey on Instagram?
No.
Huge profile, 400, 500,000 followers. And she had to sit there and practice over and over and over again doing calls to action on our stories and creating tutorial videos on how to exercise for in-feed post. And we would do it. She'd in front of the whole group. She'd give us feedback. So I think it's something that you have to learn and practice before being good at it. Yeah, she's amazing.
That's cool.
She sells like online training.
She sells online training.
Okay, got it. Cool. So this was was this a fitness business conference for like influencers, or was this like typically mostly gym owners?
Mostly gym owners. But okay. Luca and Kelsey and Don Salentino were all the 3 founders of it who all crush content.
Yeah. Well, look at what Don Saladino looks like. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the it factor. I remember I went to his gym because he was like the first guy to get a cryo thing. And I was like, this guy, I'm physically uncomfortable around this dude because he's so shredded. It's like he looks like that IRL too. That's a little like touched up, but yeah, being really good looking, I imagine, helps a lot on Instagram.
100%.
But yeah, so there's like a webinar I was in where people brought up the same thing. It's like, can you do this when you're competing against guys like Don Saladino? And the person hosting it said, like, you're not really, right? Like, people who are selling online personal training, like, that's a much more competitive thing than if you're just trying to like dominate a local market, right? So he said, I think the term he used, like, you got to be like a 10-mile expert. So you just have to be the best, most compelling person in this tiny little radius, which is a lot easier to stomach and think about. Obviously, less of the case if you're in New York or Toronto, where there are a ton of influencers and are a lot of really big gyms. But if you're in a tier 3, tier 4, or like small town, it's got to be the bar's got to be a lot lower to really like stand out and be the expert at whatever it is you do. Mm-hmm. Who are people that you would recommend looking at, or who do you look to for inspiration? Like, where do you go and you say, these guys crush it, they do social really well?
All Day Fit.
I actually don't have an exact answer to this, but we often ask our team what brands that they look forward to their post on social media, and we'll go and study what those brands are doing, because it is a lot harder for brands to be online. One fitness company that does stand out is Ladder. Have you heard of the Ladder app?
No.
Yeah, so they're a small business, and I would say they're only 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. They launched an app within COVID, and they are absolutely crushing the content game.
Hold on, let me pull it up here.
Yeah, LADDER.
Okay, cool. So this is what about this is good?
I would say it looks very premium. They are using their trainers as the face of the brand, very similar to All Day Fit. It is motivational at all times. We use their images as our inspo for actual images we're going to create in photo shoots. It's very clear who they are and what they do at all times. They have testimonials worked in throughout their entire grid, which is really important. You see badass training, but also a lot of smiles. So it looks intense, but also looks like they're happy humans.
And
would you agree on all these things?
I mean, I'm not the expert. You're the expert here. Yeah.
I think they're crushing it. They're honest. They're crushing social.
So, I did notice that a lot of your content was mindset related. What tips do you have for Mateo to really get it to make him happier? Because I know you said fitness is a state of mind. What kind of tips can you give to Mateo to get a little fitter?
I think we're done. I think we're wrapping up here. I think Cassie said she only had an hour, so I think we're good. I think we're good here.
How are you going to bring it in?
Yeah, I think we're all right. I think we got what we need. I think we got the shots. I think we got the clips, the audio sound bites.
Cool.
Thank you so much for coming by. All right, so that'll about do it. That'll about be the one how we end it today. All right, so that does it for today's episode of Gym World Worldwide. Thanks so much for stopping by today, Cassie. Cassie Dave, All Day Fit. If people want to follow you or talk to you or just, find you, how do they do that?
Come check, obviously, social media, Instagram, CassieDayy. One Y and two I was taken, so I went full three. Or alldayfit.co is our company Instagram, my company Instagram. And you could expect, if you follow along, you'll get a slide in the DM.
Yeah, you might get sold on the next cohort.
Right now. Followed you, but I didn't realize, I didn't know the strategy was being run off this was the one.
It is. My personal is more so just my life in the moment, what's going on.
Okay.
Much less strategy.
All right. Well, I'm in
So
there.
thanks
I'm
for
looking
tuning
forward
in,
to my
right?
day.
I still have to tell them to leave, right? So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Gym World Worldwide. Be sure to unlike, unsubscribe, and leave hateful comments in the comment section.
That's that mindset rearing its head. If only there was someone to give you tips.